Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Remnant Circle podcast. It is your host, Akusia Pepra. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome to you too. I'm so happy to have you guys. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed our previous episode because it was also amazing. It was like a more of like, the last episode was basically our first episode back since we've been off for like past like 7-8 months. And it's absolutely great. I enjoyed shooting this. I hope that you also enjoyed watching it. And this is our second episode. And today's episode is going to be all on building versus building well. And I'm going to be talking about, for the past 4 years, I've been building publicly, right? And it's a big difference between building publicly and building like privately. But things that you build in private, no one knows about apart from you and the people that you want them to know. And when you build it publicly, you have no control of who sees it. The internet is for everybody. Anybody can stumble across it, from family members to friends already will see when you post, to strangers you have no idea about. Anybody can see it. Obama can even see it. The president of Ghana can see it because all of these people are also on social media. You never know who's going to find your page, who's going to see what you're doing, who's going to find whatever it is you're posting out there. So it's a different type of pressure, a different type of whole thing together. And I'm going to be talking about how that's been the past 4 years, but mainly focusing on the things that I've learned along the years, and the difference between building and building well. And this comes from me going through a couple of things last year towards the end, and I had to assess a lot of things. And the podcast turned 4 years right in March. And before we turned 4 years, I was basically going past the past 4 years and what we've done, what we've been doing, the mistakes, the lessons, the great parts, the wins, the success, everything, right? And how I've changed as a person, the way it's like changed me, groomed me, character developed me. The way I was building the podcast back then and the way that I want to build it moving forward, the way I've been building it this year, even like towards the end of the last year, and even building it moving forward. And so let's get into the episode. So the past 4 years, we started the podcast back in 2022. March 2022 is when the podcast, I actually started recording before then, when I first started uni. And then I went on a little break. I kind of stopped recording, I think, after like 5 or 6 episodes. I was doing it on my audio, like on my phone. And then I picked up again, not long after. And just kept kind of like going to then creating, doing it on YouTube as well with videos and stuff, recording then on like, getting a camera, recording in my room and then moving to like a studio and then recording from a studio we've been doing for the past 2 years. Doing events in Ghana, creating a community, creating a foundation with it, going on platform tours in Ghana, and just building a whole audience kind of base. And from opportunities that's come through the podcast, going into the roles of becoming an ambassador, there's so many things that's happened. And when I first started the podcast, I always had a vision of where I wanted to take it, but I didn't know how I was going to do it and how it was going to be and if it will all work out. So the glory of God is all working out, and it will work out even better than I can even imagine. Amen. But when I first started the podcast, who I was then is not the same person I am today. The person that Akusia is, like, from since I was a kid, growing up and everything, I've always been the type of person, I've always had like ideas and I've always been very ambitious. Those type A people that just like, they're very organized, they have visions and just execute. They're very ambitious, very high achievers. That's the kind of person I am. Or so I should say, that's like, I'm still like that, just like a better version and a healed version. That's the best way to put it, which I'll explain more towards the end. But I've always been very ambitious, very overly like overachiever, always had like high visions for myself, and I see high things for myself, and I've always gone for it no matter what. I don't care what no one says. If I want to do something, I go for it and I get it done. And others will call me stubborn and others will call me, she's ambitious. But that ambition could only just take me far, because I got to realize that there's two different types of ambition. There's ambition that comes from validations and trying to validate yourself, trying to also validate, gain validation from other people, if it's your parents, if it's your siblings, if it's from family, if it's from friends, if it's from the world. And there's validation of also yourself, trying to validate things to yourself because you really want to do certain things to please yourself and for like your egos and things like that. And then there's ambition that comes from a healed place. And those two things are very different, right? And it took me, obviously, I've gone through both. So I know the difference between it. And I know like the goods from each side, the pros, which one is good and which one is not and stuff. So let's start from the ambition, from the satisfaction, like trying to, you know, satisfy like your own ego and things like that. There's the way I was before, even though like I had really great visions, I had really great, you know, ideas, I had really great things, I'm very ambitious and for all the good cause, all the good reasons and everything. There were times like I realized that I was very afraid of being vulnerable. And I've even done an episode on this as well. I've done an episode on this, and I think it's like back in 2023, I released that episode, so you can go and check it. It's called Overcoming the Fear of Vulnerability. I realized that I was basically I couldn't really tell people or speak to people about my vulnerability, things like I was going through, or just like being vulnerable, like my mental state or like my emotional well-being state, or just like where I am and just like what my thought process is. For me, it was all about just showing like I'm doing something, like I'm getting it done. And that was all I needed to really show people or show the world. And I realized that is actually from a place of being scared to be vulnerable, because there's nothing wrong with you wanting to be ambitious, wanting to do things, but there's also nothing wrong with you, you know, showing that there's times that it's not always, you know, good. There's times you also go through things. There's times that you don't have to like feel like you can't tell people your problems, or you can't, you know, talk to people around you like and show them that you can be vulnerable and that you can be both things at the same time. You can be vulnerable and also, you know, strong. That's basically the word I'm looking for. Yeah. You can be vulnerable and be strong at the same time. And for me at that time, like 4 years ago, I didn't know that you can be those two things at the same time. So for me, I just picked one, and it was about just being strong. And it was being strong on the outside and just being strong to everybody. Inside, like I always show my vulnerability to myself, and that was it. And that doesn't help anyone. And I saw how that also like played a role in certain places in my life and things like that. And it's also, and I realized that it all come from like childhood and I think I've been through even with friends and just kind of going through things where you kind of felt like you couldn't trust people, you couldn't trust anyone. And I had really heavy trust issues as well. Like to a point like I didn't even care to have friends. Like I didn't care. Already I'm an introverted person. Already I'm a very like to myself person, very private person. So I enjoy my own company. I love being by myself. I'm good at being by myself. I'm fine with it. I'm good at being my own friend, but you have to have balance in life. Like you need people as well, and you need good friends and stuff. So when those good people do come, you don't shun them away because you've had bad experiences with people. And I had to like unlearn all this and just go through all those processes and stuff. And around like 2023, I always tell you guys like that was 2023 that I really encountered Jesus Christ for myself. And it was a year that I started walking with God for me, for myself, and God, I knew Him for me. I had a personal encounter. And it's really when my own Christian journey really kind of started from more, like my own journey. So while I was going through that process with God and, you know, He was basically like, I had that encounter. There's a lot of things that He showed me about my own self. Like, this is the mirror, look at it. These are the things that where you are now. This is who you are. This is what it's about. And this is where I want to take you. And this is where I want you to work on. He basically showed me the mirror and showed me all the scars, the dark parts, the gray parts, everything. And also showed me the white parts as well. He said, all these parts here, we need to change it, all of this. And it was very, very daunting, very scary, and very vulnerable. And that's when I got to realize, like, you know, that it was more than just having a fear of vulnerability. I had unforgiveness. I had some resentments to people, family, things like that. Parents or something, to even old friends and things like that. I had things that people have done to me that I hadn't forgiven myself or forgiven them for, but I've kind of just like, you know, forgotten about it. But really, you haven't forgiven because you're still walking through life, kind of like moving with your past traumas. So you're moving, even though it happened to you yesterday, you're still moving through life today, acting like it's happening to you right now. So even when you meet new people right now, you're still very cautious. You're very like, you know, very like this. Not saying you can't be cautious in life, but you don't have to hold up like a whole wall around you. It's okay to break those walls and to see what is new out there and to like allow yourself to be in newness. You don't have to like, you know, carry that around with you, like that baggage was around with you. And also, one of the things that God showed me was like the living in survival mode. And because of the things I've gone through from childhood, the things I had to like, you know, do, things I've like had to learn on my own, mistakes and things I've done that I had to just like learn the hard way. I became very much of like living in survival mode, mentally and emotionally. And everything was just like, it's for my own ego and for me. Like, I have to make sure I'm protecting myself, I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing things for myself. And that pushing survival mode, whether you know it or you don't know it, mentally, emotionally, everything. And I had to go through the past like from 2020 to 2022, past basically 2 years decoding that. And it took me 2 to 3 years basically to come out of my survival mode. I was going through it where it's like I'm coming out of it slowly through different things. I will, see myself basically living it out again. That's like, it's basically like working through like your traumas and that fear and that baggage, just like dropping and letting it go and completely walking out of that and being completely healed from forgiveness to all these different things. And it took me 2 years, basically two to 3 years to be fully healed. Now I can actually tell you like I'm fully healed from all those things completely. From survival, living in survival modes and all these things, completely healed from all of it. Fear of vulnerability and all these things, completely healed from it. And it's to the glory of God. And it wasn't an easy journey. People like, I'm going through the wilderness, going through all of this. I have to shed, I'm being pruned, I'm being groomed by God and all these things. That was basically what I went through. That's basically what it was. And it was very, very not easy. And throughout the past 2 to 3 years, I have like spoken about some of these things on a podcast. So some of you guys, some of the episodes you probably have seen like, oh, I remember her saying something like this, or maybe like doing episodes on something like this or something like that. And when you are building something that's so public and you're also having to deal with your own internal things, and God is still working with you, working inside of you, working like to like break you out of certain things and break out certain patterns, certain habits that you've like kind of like gotten from like, as you grew up and everything. And he's preparing you from like where you're going and what you need to like, let go of so they can give you whatever he wants to give you. And you're building something that's very public at the same time. You have to show and speak and also be there for other people and be an anchor for other people and all these different things. It's very, very hard. It's a lot of pressure. It's very hard. But because it took me, somebody could have, for someone else, it can take them 6 months to completely be healed from it. Somebody might take them 1 month. Somebody might take them just a year. But for me, it took me 2 to 3 years to be completely healed from it. Because even in the beginning of starting the podcast, I didn't even know about all those things. I didn't even know that I had all these problems, like, I had these, like, maybe things I need to work through, all these traumas and stuff like that. I started a podcast and I lived my life, and like even the way I moved was like just on that unhealed ambition and that unhealed ambition and that survival mode and everything. Like all of my ideas and my thoughts and stuff was always the base and the foundation of it was survival mode. Like mentally and like, certain ideas or certain like, things I wanted to do was like for self-validation and to make myself know that, girl, you're doing it. Anything that everybody told you couldn't do, anything anyone told you that I've had people who told me that I was going to be a failure before to my face. Anybody who told you you're going to fail, you wasn't going to get this far in your life or isn't going to even live up to this point, look at you doing it. It's like validating yourself and like validating and telling yourself that. And that kind of thing is not, yes, it's not the worst thing to do, but it's not the best thing to do. And if you're not very aware of those things, you will always you will kind of just like it will just be a fool, you keep going. And when you're building like that, it's not going to last. It's not. It can only go up to a certain point. It gets to a point where that's why a lot of people, if they're not able to heal from that survival and that self-validation for themselves, it will get to a point because they've been doing it for so long and just like doing it based on those things and that unhealed ambition, they run themselves to the ground. They've run themselves dry. They run themselves completely just like, because they're just pouring and just like going and going and going. And they run into a burnout. By the time they realize they're running into a burnout, it's very late. And they have to like do a lot of like self-assessments and go through a whole lot and all these different things. Yeah. So I'm very glad, I'm so grateful and very blessed that God held up the mirror to me very early on, 3 years ago. And I was still very young, and I was able to like, he was able to like work with me and really like work with me through the podcast, through like, I know you guys watch the podcast, you guys say, oh my God, it's helped me so much and you guys come to me and everything. But this podcast and this whole journey of starting this podcast and being used as a vessel has also helped me. It has developed me. There are times I've been doing episodes, right? And I've been talking about certain things and it's usually me talking to myself. Like after I finish and I'm listening to it and I'm like, did I say that? And I realized like it's God basically speaking to me myself as well through it. And also using it also to help other people who will watch it that will be benefit to them as well. And I'm like, damn, like, and it's like, when there's like people like taking your own advice, like I'm taking my own advice, but you don't even realize like I even said that. And I've had that happen to me so many times through the podcast. And I really love the way God basically like used the podcast basically not just to help other people and to, really create big impact for others, but also to create a big impact in my own life and to really use it to like just build me as a person as well. So fast forward to where we are now, towards the end of last year, I actually ended up in a hospital, and it was because of like other things. It wasn't really from, basically, no, I think it was from survival mode. It is, yeah. It is from the same thing of survival mode. But I think that's where God wanted it to end. Because when I ended up at a hospital, and obviously my family and my friends, like they went through a whole lot because it was a very serious thing. And it was very, very scary. But for me, that was in it. Coming out towards the end, before I left the hospital, like the last 3 days where I was actually good and I was about to be discharged and stuff, I kind of had like this like, when people like have an epiphany, I had like a rebirth. I had a rebirth, basically. I went to sleep and I woke up a completely different person. Not in a bad way, but in a very good way. I felt like I've been completely washed, cleansed. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I walked into the hospital unconscious. I don't know what was going on. And as a one person, and by the time I woke up and I was conscious again, I was not the same person. And I went through being in the hospital. I had to basically go through the week in the hospital, coming to understand what's happened to me and also internally and spiritually. And there's certain dreams and certain visions I have in the hospital. And I just had to like understand like what God was doing like in that moment. Even if it wasn't a nice moment, it was very like painful, it wasn't good. But it was like me coming to the end of like my cycle of survival mode and my cycle of healing. When like cocoons turn into butterflies and they go through that stage of like really kind of like turning their body and having to shed that skin and having to twist themselves, and it's uncomfortable. And then to the end when they completely get the whole shell completely off them and they dust it off, and then they get to a point where now they can fly. They can like lift up from the ground. That's what happened with me, basically. That's the best way to put it. And what is funny and very much of like a full circle moment, that's how God is so intentional. When I was like 14, I used to be really obsessed with butterflies. And when people ask me why I used to always draw butterflies in my books, my teachers would be like, why are you doodling in your books butterflies? I used to always say that I believe I'm a butterfly. At this day, I feel like I'm a cocoon. And I'm going to be a butterfly. And I've always loved butterflies, first of all. But at that age, I was obsessed to another point where I was doodling with them into my books. And I'll do research on butterflies. And I realized that, they became from cocoons to like caterpillars, cocoons, and they became, butterflies and stuff like that. They didn't just start from being beautiful butterflies. They went through a process to get there. And that they're the hardest, they live for a long time and all these different things, blah, blah, blah. And I just always thought like, I feel like that's like my life. Like, I feel like that's like me. And they're very delicate, but they're also strong and they're so beautiful at the same time. Like they're so dual. They have very beautiful duality. So strong, but at the same time, they're so delicate and fragile. And they understand that. So they're very careful of the way they move. You don't see butterflies everywhere. But when you see them, you're like, wow. Like, you're like, oh my God, a butterfly. Like people always like a butterfly came in. And then it's not like when people see flies and bees and they're everywhere. And he's like, oh my God, here's a bee. It's different with butterflies and all, you know what I'm saying? And then they're so like beautiful to see and they're so like coming in so much varieties. And they go through this process to get there. I just fell in love. And I always say as much, was like, I feel like I'm a butterfly. I'm not right now, but I feel like I'm going to be a butterfly. And when I got to the end of that epiphany and realized what was happening to me in the hospital, and I started writing everything and just literally like start basically like deconstructing my life and the kind of how I'm going to moving forward from when I come out of the hospital. I remember that butterfly story and like that thing I used to do when I was 14, like in my classes, in my maths class, in my science class, English, I'll be doodling butterflies. And I literally said to myself, it's happening. This is it. This is the moment. And God is very intentional. And when he and I love the idea of like being very self-aware and him just like, bringing everything in one, like everything in your life connects so beautifully and nothing is by accident. Nothing just happens anyhow. Yeah, there are things that happen that's not good that need to happen. But when you trust God and you really move with him and you have a relationship with him and you know that you're his daughter, you're his child, and you have your complete faith in him that he's not going to leave you halfway through. He has a very beautiful way of also letting you know that the trust that you put in me, look what I've done with it. And all you have to basically just continue to trust me, and that's all. He has a beautiful reassuring you and letting you know how beautiful like he's planned your life and how intentional he is about you. And it's such a great, and even thinking about it now, it's making me really kind of like emotional, because it's such a, I never said this out loud because I know it, I've known it, but speaking it publicly, and I was gonna go public and speaking about it now, sitting down and speaking about it now, like on the podcast, like it makes me feel very emotional, because I'm like, damn, like wow, yeah. But so from the end of last year, I basically became basically healed from that, and healed from a lot of the traumas, a lot of the things. So when I entered 2026, I knew that there's a way that I want to live, and I knew that ambition, that unhealed ambition that I had for so many years, I've completely stepped out of it. So I started writing down things like, now we're in a very healed place. Even there's certain things like I had ideas for, like I wanted to do, I didn't want to do them anymore. There's certain things like, that I wanted to do in one way, I didn't want to do it that way anymore. The things maybe like I really wanted, I didn't care for anymore. Like things that maybe I thought about, I had completely new ideas, new ways, new way of living, new everything. And one of the things that was really important to me was doing things that brought me 100% peace and 100% freedom. And I had even opportunities come to me. And it's opportunities that probably a year ago, I would have probably said yes to. But now when I look back, when I looked at it now and I'm like, I don't want it, because I feel like it will take away my peace and my freedom. It will give me money. It will give me maybe certain things like status. It will give me certain things that as an ambitious person, an overachiever, you would want, because it's like another thing to tick off your list that you've done because you put that on your list. Now I'm like, yeah, it's good, it's great, but it's not going to give me the peace and the freedom that I need. And when you start living like that and you start having that healed ambition, your whole life will change. I know there's a lot of people in the world, again, they're moving from people who are young to old people to wherever, however age you are, to different skin colors. We are moving the way we move in this life is from a place of like unhealed ambition. So we're very like ambitious. We have dreams, we have visions, but really if you're supposed to sit down and ask people why they have those ambitions, why they have those things, it's really from a place of unhealedness, from a place of satisfaction, a place of like self-satisfaction, like validations, or even validating the world and other people, or the people, they want to prove wrong. But when you come to times and you have an ego death, completely die to your ego, and you die to your own self, and in a way of like, the negative way, and you completely are birthed to a place where all you care about is your peace and your freedom and again, that's the word, peace and freedom. And you're living in a completely healed place. The way you do things, the way you move, your new ambitions, the things you even want is completely changed. Like, let me say, when I first started a business, right, my Abiko Bakes and Bites, right, whenever anyone starts a business or starts anything, you come from a place of, oh my God, I want to start a business and I'm going to be so good and and then I'm going to quit my job and I don't want to have do this for full time. Yes, you just want to do it for full time. Mm-hmm. And in Jesus' name, we'll get to the point where we'll be so booked that this is what we're going to be doing. But I got to a place where I didn't want to have that as early as I wanted it. Like before, probably you give yourself a year to 2 years, be like, oh my God, the next 1 to 2 years, I really hope I want to work and make sure and make sure it gets to this point. And then when it gets to this point, I can quit my job and then after just do this thing for and have my own business for full time. Now, I don't want that. I don't even want that. Now, I look at things from a completely different perspective and I enjoy my job that I do, my full-time job that I do so much that I actually want to do my job, work my 9 to 5, work my job, work my full-time job, and still have a business. And I know this is really weird because people don't say that. People don't usually have that kind of idea. I want to work my job and then still have my business. People want to get to a point they can quit their job and then just focus on their business. I don't have that anymore. I don't have it. I'm 100% fine with having my business being part-time for longer than I had thought of before. I'm 100% fine with it because I know that what it is that I'm doing with my, I have found a new greater purpose, in my job, that is this is just equally as important with my life, with my purpose and what I'm doing here and what I'm going to be doing within these kind of roles, just as this business is also important. These two things can coexist beautifully in my life without one having to suffer, one having to go quickly. And at the right time, one will eventually probably will go down, just naturally, because it gets to a point where one thing will maybe be bigger than the other, and then you will just have to pick one, which is fine, and it will get there. But I'm not in a rush for that to happen. I'm not like trying to get that to happen quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? Is it easy running a job, running a business, and then having bookings and this, and then sometimes I have to even turn some of them down because I'm like, I got work. That day's not gonna work for me. If it's a weekend, cool, but this is just not gonna work for me. I got reports to write at work. I can't do this job today, this weekend, because I have to spend some time and prep. And then Monday, I go send this email Monday. Like, it's like that. It's like you learn how to coexist two things very beautifully. And that's from a healed place. It's from a healed place. And when you are completely healed and you are doing things from a completely healed place, everything in your life, the way you do it just changes. And it's not from others. It's just so beautiful. It's just a beautiful place to be. And those people maybe who've gone through it, are listening or are watching, will know exactly what I'm saying. And you know what that is saying that says that you become less ambitious when you are healed? I don't really totally believe in that because I'm still very ambitious. But it's healed ambition. I still have dreams and goals and things I want to do. I'm just getting started, baby. But there's even other opportunities that's come that I've jumped on. There's opportunities that have come on that I've jumped on that is amazing opportunities that's going to help me and where I want to go and what I want to do. It coexisting so beautifully. So I've jumped on and I'm doing them and I've accepted those opportunities and I'm doing them. But it's all from a healed place. It's all from like a slow place of slow and peace and just like freedom and just healed. It's not from a place of, oh my God, or like fast and, all those things there. And so this is the difference between building versus building well. When you're somebody who's just building, most of the time you're building from a place of ambition, place of survival, place of just, let's go, let's get this done. Let's, tick this box. Let's smash this, what's it called? Next thing and get to the next level. And it's beautiful, it's great because you need ambition to do everything. But when you have a lot of like traumas, a lot of like unhealed things inside of you, it will find a way to incorporate into the thing to like your whatever it is that you're building. Those traumas, those things you have not completely healed from, they will find a way to incorporate into that business, into that organization, into that thing, that project that you're building. Trust me, one way or another, will find a way to come in there. It will find a way to come in there without even realizing it. And that's why, again, it's really important that everything that you're doing to surrender into God's hands, because it's only him that can really like pull the curtains back and show you that, no, we're going to be doing it this way. This is how we're going to be doing this, how we're going to be doing it. But if you're just doing it from your own mind and your own thoughts and your own ideas and your own ambition, you'll run yourself down. And to the glory of God, to his mercy and his grace, he pulled down the curtains for me. And he showed me that this is what I want to build with you. This is where I want us to go. This is where you are now. And I need you to heal from this, heal from this, heal from that. You didn't even know you had all these things, but yes, you do. And if I don't work on you now, you're going to take all these things and incorporate it into everything you're going to be building. And it's going to all like crumble. It's not going to be good in the long run. And where you're going, I'm going to be taking you there. And if you're going to be going with me and my name is going to be on you, we need to do this properly, just the way I want it to be done. And I have not regretted starting my journey with God. I've not regretted being a Jesus girly. And from 2023 doing this, because this is where I am now and this is what he's done in my life. And this is the healing that he's taken me through. And I couldn't have done this healing without Jesus. I'm sorry. No way. No way. I've had people in my life that always has been supportive, that was like, contributed to this. But the genesis of it all and the beginning and the end of it all is that Jesus basically started this and he did that. I've also obviously give some credit to myself because I have also stayed the course. Yes, I believe in giving credit to yourself as well. But once again, it started with Jesus. Yeah, and we're here. So build from a place, whatever it is you're building, it's okay to sit down maybe from today and invite Jesus into it and ask him, Jesus, am I building from a place of unhealed ambition or am I building from a place of healed ambition? And let him show you. Maybe probably you already probably healed from wherever it is you need to heal from. And you're already building from a place of healed ambition. Either you're building your academics, you're building your business, you're building your project, you're building wherever it is, you're probably building from a place of already healed ambition. But then there's a lot of people who aren't. Sometimes we build it for 10, 15 years and they really aren't. And some people just started building yesterday. And if you look at the real basics of building and where and like their life and stuff like that, it's not from a place of healed ambition. And it will show up at some point in their life. So I pray that, you sit down with God today and you talk to him and you invite him into whatever you're building, and that he shows you and you're able to, navigate it, and he's able to navigate and just go through that healing process with you. And healing is a very long process. It's not easy. Everybody's one is different. Mine took me 2 to 3 years. Yours can take you 6 months. It might take you 2 weeks. Yours might take you 1 year. Mine wasn't that. And it also goes to show you that there's no timeline on healing. And no matter how long your healing might take, sometimes you might even forget you're going through a healing process. I forgot sometimes along the way. No matter how long it takes, if it takes you 5 years, you will get to that end where, you will be completely healed from whatever it is that you need to heal from. If it's unforgiveness, resentment, anger, whatever it is, you will, maybe yours is insecurities, you will be healed from it at some point. But yes, I pray that we all build from a place of wellness, a place of healness, and we build well, not just build, we're doing this, we're doing that, but we build well, because it's beauty in building well. So yes, that's the episode for today. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end with me, guys. I'm so grateful. And now let's do our prayer before we end it off. Heavenly Father, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this episode. When I thought of this episode, I was kind of scared to even sit down and speak about it and be, again, vulnerable and talk about all these things. But you assured me that, yes, this is not about you. This is about other people that, you're sent to help. And even you releasing it out there, it's you also releasing that energy, and you also coming into fullness with where it is that you are now, where you're going. And I feel so good, and I'm so happy that I've been able to speak about this and just share my lessons and everything along the way with everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching right now. Father, I surrender every person into your hands. And I pray that those that are maybe going through, maybe they're unhealed, they're filled with so much trauma, so many things. Maybe they've also started their healing journey. Whatever is that they're also healing from, maybe it's heartbreaks, heartaches, maybe it's insecurities, they're not confident in themselves, they have no self-worth, no self-love. Maybe it's, traumas of people saying things to them, they need to shed it and let go of all of those people have said to them in the past. Whatever that they have gone through in their life, some people have gone through really crazy things that they're healing from, sexual, abuses and mental abuses and things. Father, I pray that you touch every person. That, Lord, that your healing hands is upon them, Lord God. That you show them the mirror, that they see what is that you see when you look at them, and that they're able to take your hands and go through this journey with you and go through this healing with you, and that you're able to help them through the journey, Lord Father. Give them the endurance, give them the grace, the strength, the ability that they need to go through this journey with you, and that they make it to the end just like I've made it to the end. And in life, as we go through, there's many things we will also have to heal from, because in life there's grief, there's losses, there's so many things that will come. But if I can go through this one, there's nothing I can't do. And that's what it shows you in life, that when you go through something and you're able to overcome it, it shows you that you are that strong and you can overcome things. So I pray that everyone overcomes whatever they're going through, and that everyone who's also building something, I pray that they're able to, build it from a place of healedness. They're able to build well and build from a place of healed ambition and not, unhealed ambition. Thank you so much, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Mwah.